Okay. I'm going to call to order the Common Council meeting for July 6, 2015. Please stand for invocation. Bobby, please.
Hello, Council. How you doing? Gracious God, we thank you for this day. We thank you, God, for how you continue to bless us and keep us. God, we thank you for a day we have not seen before. And we ask you, God, to continue to help us and to give us the wisdom we need to guide and to operate in the way you'd have us operate in our city. God, we ask you to bless all these leaders. Be with them, protect them, watch over them, give them strength, give them health. We ask you, God, for all of our staff members of our city, all the persons who work to make this a great place to live, be with them and be with their families. We ask you, God, also be with our first responders. We always never want to take for granted all the work they do, the danger they put themselves in to protect us. Be with them, continue to strengthen them, keep them healthy, keep them protected. God, we ask you to continue to watch over our community and also our nation, God, all the things we got going on in our state. God, we know there's danger everywhere, but we know you can protect us, you can watch over us. So help us, God, to understand and trust you in all that we do. We ask it all in the name of Jesus the Christ. Amen. You sure can.
A special prayer for the family that the fourth was capsized.
And the boat?
I think 3 members still missing and several of them have passed, but just a special prayer for them and the first responders because it's going to be a challenge. Just a little something.
Amen. And I think you just gave it. And in Jesus' name. Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bobby. Roll call, please.
Councilperson Smith.
Present.
Councilperson Zastavny.
Present.
Councilperson Wadsworth.
Present.
Councilperson Sellers.
Present.
Councilperson Webb.
Present.
Council President Gill.
Present.
Councilperson Julius.
Here.
Councilperson Owen.
Here.
Councilperson Samuels. Let the record reflect that all 9 council members are present.
Thank you. Minutes to be approved. Let's start with the minutes from the regular council proceeding of June 15, 2015.
I make a motion to approve, then I'll change it.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. As now I got the minutes from the council workshop proceeding June 15th of 2015. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Minutes are approved. Approval of the agenda.
There are no changes. Motion to approve.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion approved. Agenda is approved. Claims to be approved, Heather. And we do have several hand carried.
I have one to Travelers for $21,516.46, and then another hand carry for City Pride for L. Thorne Company, which is for pavers on
Glastonbury.
that one. Yes. So that brings the new total to $1,700,210.19.
Wait a minute, say that again. 1 million?
1,700,210.19.
Okay.
210.19.
How much was the one for Grosspunner?
4,513.67. Sorry, I missed that part.
And you all got my email on the ones for Travelers.
Yes, and I sent an email on both the hand carries, or all 3 actually, hand carries, that it was because of the due dates. They need to be paid.
Then I have a question under city court. There's another legal services for $5,971, and I don't mind approving it with that in there, but pending review just to see what.
I'll send you a copy of that tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Lisa had 3 questions. Page 5, under vehicle maintenance, the very last one for $500,000 to transfer out. What is that for?
That goes to their fuel, that non-reverting fuel and repair and maintenance
Okay,
fund.
thank you. Then on page 10, the share of gaming revenue, the transfer out, the 100,000.
That's going to the Parks Non-Reverting 209 fund.
Okay. 2 for 2. And then page 14, under police loot, it says we bought 6 Chevy Caprices for $171,600. I was under the impression we were not going to get that size car anymore.
I think that they have to purchase them to resell them, maybe. I'm not sure what the plan was for.
Pretty sure
About
they
the
already
6
have
Caprices?
order.
Yep.
Yes, please.
The 6 Caprices were purchased prior to the administration change, and then...
So these aren't different, new ones?
No, those are the
after
same
that?
6
Okay.
Caprices. I think that was just when the invoice was submitted.
Okay, that answers it then. Thank you. That's all I had, Lisa.
Any further questions for Heather?
I'm going to abstain from voting.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve with the 2 hand-carried claims. And the review, as Connie mentioned.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and then a second for the total of $1,700,210.19. Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Heather. And actually, oh no, you're not. Report of the clerk.
The only thing I have is, well, 2 things. I'd like to introduce, and I think I'd done it earlier, but I'd like to do it on record, Patsy Kaiser, who is now taking Jamie Miller's position. And she started last Wednesday and is doing very great. So I think now the clerk's office is back in order. The other thing is I sent out an email again last week to all department heads, and I copied you all also on it because I, again, am having trouble getting contracts. And I attached the resolution that you all did naming, declaring that the clerk's office is to get all contracts. So I sent it out again as a reminder because they're still not coming in. So
I guess, Scott, what's our remedy, or what's our options to get this taken care of? Or do we have any?
I mean, there's not technically a lot of enforcement power that we have, other than just beating down the doors, so to speak, make sure they send the material to the doctor or the clerk. I mean, there's not really enforcement powers that the council has
Okay.
regarding that. With the policy of the city, technically, the executive body is the one that's supposed to enforce the laws.
So does it reflect negatively with the open door policy?
Well, I mean, open door policy is something a member of the public can turn it over. I don't know if that's an open door violation. They need to turn it over, but
Well-
if they have the record, I don't know if they're, to couch it that they're concealing it or anything like that. They just need to turn it over.
I think he's just referring to if a member of the public comes in and asks to see the contract, then the clerk's not gonna have it. Isn't that what you were referring?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, you're gonna start chasing everybody around trying to find a piece of paper you ought to have.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Okay, that's all I need, thanks.
And Ms. Conlon, did it go better with sticking with the hard deadlines? Did you get everything in on time for the packets?
the only, just so you all will know, I sent out the request a good week and a half ahead of time to let them know. Planning and zoning, of course, you all had that meeting. And all I've asked is people, if they want to get on the agenda, to let me know. Ms. Hoffman had informed me as soon as she got the email, and a couple of others also had. And planning and zoning never tells me beforehand. So, of course, we had already closed it since we had the holiday. We had a deadline. We had to get the packets together. So the 2 rezonings are not on this agenda. or in this packet due to the fact is planning and zoning did not get the information to us in time.
She gives them plenty of heads up, and just so the public knows, once I approve that agenda, or what she sends, and that gives her the go-ahead to start packets. So we're going to stay true to that. I understand emergencies will come up, that we may have to add some things, but we're going to stay hardcore on the deadlines. I'm going to back you up on that, because I think you had to do the packet 3 times over the prior meeting. So, okay. Is there anything else, Ms. Conley? No. Okay, thank you. Move on to unfinished business. Heather Metcalf, an ordinance transferring funds within the same department, 2015 OR 31.
I asked for approval on the transfer. I think the one for the parks increased some for that, can't remember what that contract was for originally. I apologize.
Isn't it for the videos and?
Yes, yes, for something about the River Stage area, or is it down there by the docks?
I had a question, maybe next or later. Later on, we've got another one for open spaces from parks to contract services for $75,000. What is?
That is for the contract that you approved at the prior meeting earlier tonight for the green, help with the green
That's a whole new
space.
advertisement. That's why it's on new business.
Yeah, and we wanted to vote on that separately. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that one would need to be voted on all 3 readings.
Make a motion to pass 2015 OR 31 on the second and third.
Second.
I got a motion and a second to pass on second and third reading for 2015 OR 31. Any further questions, discussions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Heather, and you're still up. And there will be a public hearing on 2015 OR 32, an ordinance of additional appropriation.
This is for the vehicle for building commission and the supplies for the police department.
We're going to tweak the vehicle amount. I think he's coming to our finance meeting on Thursday, correct, Larry Wallace? Okay.
Do you want that lowered, or do you want to hold it the way that it is now, or?
You could leave it where it is.
I think
and
we
then could
leave it
lower
where it is, and once we get that number on Thursday, we'll have that.
True number.
Because
Okay.
we can always go down, we just can't go back up.
Right.
Is this an additional vehicle or to replace an existing vehicle?
It's a replacement. If you remember last year, we shuffled vehicles around inside that department between a couple of employees and a couple of departments.
So we're planning on this going down.
Yes, we'll just pass it on the second.
I make a motion to approve 2015 OR.
Wait, we put public hearing.
At this time, I'm going to open up the public hearing for 2015 OR 32. Is it up on the screen? Is the right one up? Yeah. Okay. Is there anybody here that would speak before or against this? Please come up to the podium, state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none, I'm going to officially close public hearing, and now, Nathan, you can...
I'm a little gun shy, but I would make a motion to approve 2015 OR 32 on the second reading.
Okay, got a motion, a second to pass 2015 OR 32 on the second reading. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Heather. Move on to new business. We have Assistant Chief McFoy on trainings. Are you, okay, before you get started, it seems like y'all are here every time for trainings. Do you all, these just new coming up, or do you know, because if you just give it to us all at once, we can do it so you don't have to keep coming back.
I can give you a monthly one if you want. The second meeting, or the second meeting of the month, I can give you
If that would be easier for you.
everything we
it
have
just
coming in the
seems
future. Yeah. If that's easier for you all, we don't mind either way.
Okay. I just want to make it easier.
Before I get started, Councilman Smith touched on it. Most of you know there was a tragedy on the river this weekend. I'd like to commend the Jeffersonville Fire Department, Police Department, Clark County Sheriffs, and all the other agencies from Indiana that has been assisting in the search and rescue and the recovery. Specifically, the River Patrol's been out since Saturday, Sunday, today. They'll probably be back out tomorrow as well. So, which leads into our training. Is you can never get enough training, and this weekend exemplified the officers' training and their experience. This community should be proud of what we have here. The first training is a negotiation techniques for first responders. It's going to be hosted here at the police department, and it's $188. That's in our budget.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion, a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Training's approved.
The second will be for our two newly promoted detectives, be held in Seymour. It's a $20 registration fee for each. We have that money as well in our budget.
So moved.
Got a first and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Training's approved.
And the third and final will be a defensive tactics instructor recertification. It's a biannual instruction certification for our two defensive tactics instructors. That'll be local in New Albany as well. The cost of that's $700, and we have that in the budget as well.
Got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Training's approved.
Thanks.
Thank you, sir. New business, we've got Kelly Kaufman, a resolution approving statement of a benefit for proposed realty property tax abatement.
Good evening. I'm here tonight with Kalisha Bass and Kathleen Crowley with One Southern Indiana and Joe Rohde with Voss Clark to request a tax abatement for Voss Clark. Kathleen, do you want to give an overview of the project?
Good evening. I'm Kathleen Crowley, Senior Director for Business Retention and Expansion with One Southern Indiana. Thank you for letting us appear before you this evening. In January of 2014, we appeared before you asking for a tax abatement for a project that Voss Clark was going to take on to improve efficiencies and outputs in their Jeffersonville location. It was a $12 million investment, and at the time it was 132 jobs, and the payroll was at $8.5 million. An update on that project: Phase 1 has now been completed. Phase 2 will be completed this week, and Phase 3 will be completed by the end of this year. During this time frame, they found that they needed an additional piece of equipment in the amount of $5 million. Currently, they remain steady at 132 jobs. However, the annual payroll has increased for the 132 jobs from $8.5 million to over $9.5 million due to that efficiency and increased output. The new project will result in an addition of 4 new positions at an average wage of over $21 per hour. I've brought with me tonight Mr. Joe Rohde with Voss Clark to tell you about his project.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm Joe Rohde with Voss Clark.
Good evening.
I think some of you people, ladies and gentlemen, toured our facility last year, and we appreciate it. We completed one phase, an important phase, last December, end of December. We're in the midst of Phase 2 that will complete by the end of this week. Our third phase will complete probably in middle of December. This allows us to process what we call advanced high-strength steels for the auto industry. It's stronger steel, thinner gauge, and it's very, very strong. And we've increased the size of our rolls, the horsepower of our equipment to flatten it. We have recently found a new technology. First of all, our pickle line we uncoil steel coils and weld the head of one to the tail of the other, and it's a continuous operation through our line. And that welding process, which uses MIG welders, if any of you are familiar with MIG welding, very good, but it takes us an average of 2.5 to 3.2 minutes to make the weld, depending on the gauge and the width of the steel. We have recently, in the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, found a new technology. It's in the industry, but we weren't aware of it. It's called laser welding. where you use lasers versus the MIG. And it's a major investment, but from our 2.5 to 3 minute weld time, we'll reduce that to about 30 seconds at most. And we found a supplier, the laser company, and they'll supply it. They'll take out some of the equipment, put the new laser heads in, and we're hoping to do it by the end of the year. And 20 minutes after I leave this meeting, if you approve it all, I'm going to call them and place an order, because it's a 6-month delivery, and they've committed to getting it to us. And what this does also is this increases the productivity of our pickle line, and that's the key of our operation. And again, as I said before, we're one of the major processors for the big steel industries: U.S. Steel, ArcelorMittal, AK Steel, Gallatin, Nucor. And we've been running at full capacity since middle of 2009. And we've increased our capacity and made some improvements. Well, this will allow us to do this advanced high-strength steels. But with this new welding process, we'll increase the throughput through the pickle line, which is fine. But what it does is that of our pickle line, is one part of our operation, we have 3 slitting lines, and 60% of our process, of our pickled process, goes through our slitting line. So if whatever increased production I get from the pickle line will go to our slitting lines. And right now, those slitting lines are at capacity too. So I can venture to say that a week or a month, a year, within a year or two, we'll probably be in front of you asking for an abatement on a new slitting line. So we've been very successful. We have the employees we have, 85, 90% are all Indiana residents, and they are truly hard workers, dedicated, and loyal. And it shows in our output. And again, our salaries went up $1 million in 1 year, and we take care of our people.
Joe, could you basically explain what pickling steel is?
Yeah. We get hot rolled coils of steel from steel mills, and they're right off what they call their hot mills. And if you see them, there's all kinds of iron oxide and rust and scale on the surface of the steel. So we uncoil it and put it through, we have 5 tanks of a hydrochloric acid solution that chemically removes the iron oxide and scale, and it dissolves it, if you would. And then we take the steel through a rinse tank, rinse the acid off, dry it, oil it, and then we send it to our slitters or to our blanking operation. So you have a piece of steel then that, with scale on it, you can't paint it, you can't do anything with it. But once we process it, it can go to the auto industry, and you can paint it. That's the main thing we do. We call it a pickling, but really it's a cleaning operation.
I didn't know if y'all knew that.
I think we've all seen the big rolls of steel.
Yep.
How long does it take one of those rolls to uncoil for that
Depends on very good question. About 8 minutes. 8 to 9 minutes, depending on the gauge of the steel. The heavier the gauge, the shorter the coil. The lighter the gauge, the longer the coil. But we figure about 8 minutes.
So the 2+ minute time to weld them, that's a fourth of the...
Absolutely.
I get
Right.
it. Thank you.
Joe, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please.
When I saw this coming through, to me, it raised a couple of questions.
Sure.
One was that we were going to do virtually a $5 million, and then it looks like you've got a $1.3 million value in your equipment. Maybe you're trading in or selling or.
Right.
So we've got a $3.7 million investment. It's only going to create 4 employees. And on the surface, I think, is that worth us to give a tax abatement? However, my question to you is, and I don't want to interrupt you, but my question to you is, if you would have known about this technology, would you have put this in your January 14?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But let me respond to my four employees addition. We're increasing I'm asking for 4 employees, and that's conservative. We're increasing the capacity of our line. Our line runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we can't expect all of our employees to work that many hours. So they always get 1 to 2 days off a week during the course of the week. And the fact that we're increasing our capacity, we're going to need more people just to, and I haven't even talked about the additional employees that we're going to need on our slitting lines. 4 people are conservative.
So the 4 people are basically from going from MIG to your laser, and then, but you're still gonna have to increase because of the.
The slitting lines, but when I say, we have 4 employees who are trained to run the MIG welder.
Right.
But these employees that we hire will be used in the line itself, just to handle the steel, banding it, paper wrapping it, operating line, operating the feed system. So not necessarily to run the welder.
And my question leads to another one for the council. I think that in the near future, and maybe we want to work with 1SI to put some guidelines on what our criteria is to give a tax abatement on a existing business or new business. In, for instance, if somebody's going to do an expansion of $3 million and they're only going to bring us 4 employees, do we want to prorate that, or do we want to give a full tax abatement? I think we need to build in some criteria, if you will, on how to look at these before they even come to us, so that, that we don't have to turn something flat down, but we have some alternative that we can go to.
Well, it lets the individuals know what to expect.
Exactly.
Well, I will say this, again, I'm saying this, I'm conservative. It could be 8 employees eventually.
Sure.
Because between the pickle line, our crane operator, we might need more crane operators, we might need somebody in shipping and receiving.
Right.
So it's conservative.
Well, I
I've
think
always
the
been
question that
conservative.
I had for you earlier kind of answered my question. If you would have known about this technology in
Absolutely.
January, then it would have been included.
Absolutely.
Joe, how long, I know y'all been there a long time up there. How many years have you been up to that place?
We've been here in the Maritime Center since August of 1993 is when we started the pickle line.
Long time.
22 years.
And
They're good companies.
I imagine you got to stay competitive in the market constantly, don't you?
We do.
Yeah.
Just a few weeks ago, we were presented kind of a spreadsheet with all the abatements that we've approved and some of the numbers from the companies. And yours was, Voss Clark was one of the companies that I mentioned, hit their numbers, hit their expectations every time. And, I think I'd like to make a motion to go ahead and approve 2015 R8.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second to approve 2015 R8. Any further discussion, questions, concerns? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Thank you,
Brandon, thank
ladies and
you.
gentlemen.
Thank you
Appreciate
all
it.
very, very much.
Thanks.
Don't make that phone call.
Regarding what happened at
Yes.
the last time we discussed the abatements?
Yes.
Have you gotten any feedback from?
I ended up, actually, I guess somebody that was in the meeting contacted one of the business owners because I got, one of them filed their paperwork, like immediately. And then I contacted, the county got back in contact with me about one of the companies that I'd been waiting to hear from them about, and their abatement had expired. So I ended up mailing 4 letters out to companies regarding either the filing of the form or the abatement fee itself. All 4 companies have received their letter. I've not heard from any of the 4.
Did you give a time date in there, like 30
I
days?
gave 30 days, yes.
So will that time expire by our next council meeting?
No, I was going to come back on the August meeting. They all received their letters on June 22nd and 23rd. So I think that puts us at the first meeting in August.
Okay.
Do you have a contact person of each one of these places? Or?
2 of them I do, and then actually Kathleen with One Southern Indiana is also working. I gave her the list as well. So the companies who work with One Southern Indiana, she's notified them as well.
I know you've tried to contact them, but I'd be glad to try to even contact them too. I think that surely they got to know how important this is to them.
We have, yes.
And no response.
Some of them have been contacted many times and responded, and some of them have not responded at all, so
Okay. Thank you, Kelly.
thanks.
Heather Metcalf and Paul Northam, an ordinance transferring certain funds within the same department.
This is a new transfer in regards to the contract that you approved at the Parks meeting earlier today. This dollar amount will take care of the amount that's going to be paid for this year, and then he'll need to put the additional part into the budget for next year.
Since it was around $7,400, I think, a month, the contract, and we're going 6 months, that puts us at about $48,000, which is under the $75,000 we requested.
And this is the one you're requesting to approve on all three readings?
All three, yes. Please.
So
Make a
we-
motion to approve.
What's it?
We have to suspend
Oh,
the
I'm
rules.
sorry.
Need to make a motion to suspend the rules on the anticipation of passing on all three readings.
What's it gonna be?
33.
Well, this is just a transfer within the same department. We don't need a public hearing on this, correct? Yeah. Okay, I got a motion and a second to suspend the rules in anticipation of passage of 2015 OR 33. It did. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, rules are suspended.
I make a motion to pass 2015 OR, did you say 23? 33 on all three readings.
Second.
Got a motion second to pass 2015 OR 33 in all three readings. Any further questions, concern? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Thank you very
Paul.
much.
Thank you, Heather. We got Les Merkley, a resolution regarding the amendment of the Falls Landing redevelopment plan.
You have in front of you two resolutions. They're basically identical. One concerns the Intercity Road Economic Development Area. The other is the Falls Landing Economic Development Area. This is to amend the economic development plans for both of those areas to include the construction phase of the 10th Street widening project. As of right now, the plan includes the design and property acquisition for the project, but does not include the construction phase. Andy is here. He can speak as to why approval for the construction phase is needed at this time. And also, I think he can also answer any questions as to the status of the project. This is one step required by statute for redevelopment to move on with the project. If it's approved here, then it goes back to the Redevelopment Commission for a public hearing, and then redevelopment can move forward with the project. But I'll turn things over to Andy, who I think can give you an update as to the status of the project and why it's his recommendation that, or he's asking that a decision be made regarding the construction at this time.
Thank you. Excuse me. Status of the project, we are completing the design phase. We have acquired about 75% of the right-of-way, the parcels for the right-of-way along the entire corridor. We are going to be moving, once we have acquired all the property, we're going to be moving forward with relocating utilities and getting them out of the way. I think if we all remember back to the Hamburg Pike reconstruction, we had that slated for about a 2-year turnaround in the construction time frame, and it ended up longer than that. One of the big reasons for that was we couldn't get the utilities out of the way. Our plan this time on this project is to move all the utilities out of the way before we ever start construction, or at least get a large portion of them moved out of the way so that the contractor has a clean slate to go in on when he started. We want to go ahead and get that started. Our consultant has recommended that we get a construction phase approved, and we agree, because the utilities are moving at their own expense, okay? They don't move at our expense. We're not paying them to move. They're in our right-of-way. They have to move at their own expense. They want some assurances from the city that there's actually a road coming through there when that happens. So we're wanting to go ahead and start with the utility relocation phase this fall. As soon as we have purchased all the property, we'll be moving utilities through the fall, through the winter, and then starting next summer, rolling to the actual construction phase.
Well, Andy, I think the council's been pretty clear that this is a wonderful project. We want to move forward on it, but we also been very clear of the phases. We've already approved the property acquisition and the utilities moving, but we were going to wait to approve the construction when in line with the whole KIPTA timeline, which I called NDOT, and it doesn't even go out to bid for construction till October 2016. So I know you were saying about the utilities, we're wanting a clear indication of the roads going through here, but I went on KIPTA's website, and we're the very first project under, it's under administration modification, because I think you needed more money for your,
We got more money from
Highways.
KIPTA.
so I don't understand why the utilities don't think this project's not going to happen.
Because as of right now, that hasn't been approved through redevelopment or through the city council.
And didn't she say something about the 2 million we would lose?
Yeah, we have, the funding will.
2.4.
Yeah, the 2.4. The funding will become available in the calendar year 2016, so we'll get the federal funding, which we're talking about the 80-20. The 80% from, I think that will be available July 2016, is what I was told. And
That's
their
correct.
records match
And administered
KIPTA.
in 17.
Right.
During the construction.
Well, the construction funding is set up for NDOT's fiscal year 2017,
Right.
which starts July 2016.
Right.
We should have the letting well before October. That should be next summer, July.
Well,
Andy, I spoke with her as well. She also said, and she, again, is very highly complimentary of you.
I don't know who you're
It
talking about,
almost
but great.
makes you sick.
Okay, okay.
But the other thing that
Says
I
who talked
question.
to?
I'm sorry.
Kathy with
who is
NDOT.
she?
With NDOT.
NDOT,
I'm sorry.
Seymour office.
She's the director of the local public agencies, which is what we are.
And we've been up to meet her a couple of different times to stay on top of this project. And one of the things that she had said was that we'll know in February or March of next year about other funding that would be available for this project,
Okay.
payable in 17. And one of my questions to her was, I mean, is there an urgency for us to pass this right now?
Okay.
She did not think so. She didn't see any way that it would slow us down.
From their standpoint,
From their standpoint.
from NDOT standpoint.
But I think what you're trying to accomplish is get the utilities moving.
My concern is from the utility standpoint, they don't have any assurance that we are moving forward. As of right now, the council,
I don't
We-
understand.
yeah,
Well, it's right on
purchased
KIPTA's website.
property.
Okay.
We purchased property, why would we not be moving through?
okay.
And plus, it's right on KIPTA's website where anybody can get it. I even printed it off. I don't understand why they think this isn't going to happen.
Andy, this, on your first funding sheet, it says 500,000 for utilities, and it says unmatched, meaning that it would be our portion. Is that not the case anymore?
Could you repeat, which sheet are you looking at? Okay. I'll have that.
That's the one we've been going by for, gosh, probably 2 years.
Yeah, and I've updated that for 2015.
And I've got it.
Okay. I have copies for everyone else if you'd like me to hand them
I
out.
handed them out.
My question is on.
You have those? Okay.
You don't have the graphs.
We don't have the grass.
Can I make a statement real quick?
This
And
is
I'm
just
sorry
a
to
summary.
interrupt you. Hang on, Bob. Can you please get that information to us?
I can.
On the utilities, you've got here that the city's paying for that, are we? Is that changing?
That,
It's $500,000
no, that is, if you look back, that, the utilities phase is something, that's the way KIPTA sets it up. Actually, that's railroad. I should have put it on here that way, but the way KIPTA does it through their phasing, they call it utilities. They have it set aside as a utility. It's not utilities. We're not paying for utilities. When you see the utilities on here, that's for railroad construction. That's the crossing for Jeff Boat.
Oh.
So if you look at 2013, we thought we were going to be around $500,000 estimated cost to improve that crossing.
Right.
If you look over at 2015, we've revised that down to $350.
Right.
Is that Jeff Bolt's track?
It's Jeff Boat's track.
Do they not, do they help any at all? toward
The
that
state
funding?
law requires that we improve that if we're going to come through and add lanes. Yeah, we've been we've been working through that same issue.
Well, they've worked, and over the years, they've repaired it and done some work on it, I didn't know.
Yeah. They do repair work on it. They fix it. If we see a problem, we call them and could you fix it? But, and maintenance from the point that we improve it will still be on them.
Yeah.
But it's on us to bring it up to standards. It's going to have the typical signals with the gates and everything.
And when are they wanting to begin utility relocation?
We're looking to do that as soon as we can. We may even look at doing that before we have all the right-of-way. If we can find a large chunk that we don't have a broken tooth of missing right-of-way.
So I guess the options is either A would do that now or B would do that next year.
Correct.
We already approved utility.
Yeah, we already.
You've approved utilities. Is that what you're saying?
We're gonna have to wait to do that.
Okay, but you don't have to.
He's indicated utility companies are not going to relocate unless they have something, an assurance that this project
Is moving to construction. So, the council approving utilities, they're doing that for free. You don't have to approve anything for them to use utilities.
It's still not going to go out for big construction until next year, because that's when we get funded.
Right, it won't go until at least, it'll be July.
Send them a letter. Send them a certified letter saying we're building the road. We're doing everything that's asked of us, and we've done everything according to schedule. And NDOT, we've kind of kept track with them on a lot of the monies and different things. So I don't understand why there's not trust when there always has been.
Like I said, it's right on KIPTA's website, Phase 3, reconstruct and widen 10th Street from 4 to 5 lanes. That's clearly on public website.
I guess if I'm a utility company and I read the paper tomorrow morning, I'd be a little nervous.
Yeah, I guess I don't understand the reluctance not to move forward if everybody's on board with moving forward.
What is the reason to not approve it? They can't go out to bid till after next year anyway.
Because then when it goes out to bid, when we're in line, we'll have the true costs of everything, because with the 2 bridges, the cost, it changes daily, in my opinion.
So if the costs change, we're not going to do the project?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying
That's
for
what's
us.
to be read into this, though, by a utility company.
I think that's the concern, is that this has been split up.
Huh?
I was talking to Ed.
6 months or 8 months ago, I don't remember when it was, we had a meeting with this Miss Eaton, and I think the question we had was at the time, or that I know it was brought up, was if we have, if we say we have the money to pay cash for this, will that put our match in jeopardy? And she indicated, well, yes, if there's other communities that don't have cash, they need it. And so she recommended that we make sure and continue to do it in phases. And that way we're still eligible for the match money.
And she told me that again on the phone when I just called her.
And so that would be one.
What money is she saying that, you lost me there, because we have a 5-year plan through KIPTA where money is programmed in.
And
so what money is?
Things that go ahead.
Oh, I don't know. She was looking at whatever she was looking at the time. She indicated that if we basically go forward and say that we have the cash to pay for this, then that could either move us down on the list, or it could lower our percentage. It would put whatever we were asking for in, could lower that amount that we would get as a match. I don't know what pot of dollars that was. I don't remember that. It was 6 or 9 months ago. But so that was one of the things that I've continued to say is we want to make sure and get every match dollar we can get, and not spend our cash first.
Okay.
And so that's been the reluctance. That you asked the question of, well, why is there any hesitancy? That's the hesitancy that I have, based on that conversation.
You're worried about losing the 80-20, and you're worried
Or
about
whatever
not starting the
percent.
utilities on time.
We don't. There's not an 80-20. I know there's talk of 80-20. There is no 80-20. We're probably we're upside down from that. We're probably 25-75 at this point. So you're not at a 80/20. Moving through KIPTA's funding process, you're not ever going to get to an 80/20, not with a project of this size.
Well, Lisa, then let's just make a copy of the KIPTA report and give it to Andy and fax it to the utility companies, because right there it
That's
is.
why I printed it off, and I even,
Any plainer than that.
she even sent me the email, because I said, because we're gonna need some kind of documentation, because I heard through that the utilities were, kind of had cold feet and moving, and she even gave me how to go to KIPTA. Should go to www.kipta.org. On the right side of the page, click on Transportation Improvement Plan. In the middle of the page, click on Administrative Modification Number 2. The first line on the page is what we're asking for. It's easy to find. I don't know why the utilities are hesitant on that.
And to piggyback on what Nathan says, if there are from what I understand, if there's not projects ready in February or March of next year, we could be eligible for some of those dollars for 2017.
That's outside of whether you approve this here or not.
I understand. Yeah, but going back to what Nathan said in the conversation that we had with her, if we volunteer to pay the rest out of this in cash, they're human beings like we are. If they have a community that's applying at the same time for the...
But there aren't any applications for these funds. Not for there's no applications for funds that go through KIPTA. Those are all allocated to the southern Indiana communities of Jeffersonville, New Albany, Clarksville, Floyd County, and Clark County. So we don't go through an application through NDOT.
To me, it seems like there's a disconnect somewhere between the conversations that some of the council members have had with NDOT and your understanding, and we had a conversation earlier today about how the funding would work. To me, it seems like we need to get together, you and someone from the administration, a couple of council people with NDOT, and make sure and level set where we are as far as funding availability and the matching of funds and the time frame in order to make all these things happen. To me, that seems like the logical
And
step.
they're willing to do that. I made that request.
I'd be willing to if we could get NDOT and KIPTA staff all there, I'd be glad to do that.
She did verify with KIPTA that their records are in line with them, and they said everything's in line, everything's moving
I
forward.
think the issue is that what we're looking at isn't an NDOT or a KIPTA issue. This is giving an assurance to utilities that we are moving forward. We do have money programmed for next year, but we lose that money if we don't move forward with the construction phase. That it doesn't get carried over. It doesn't get done the next year. That money's gone.
So sending that information, why wasn't that information that's on their site satisfy that request?
Well, I mean, KIPTA puts together a 5-year plan. If you look at the document that you downloaded, you'll see that it probably goes out through 2019.
Are you talking about it's off the KIPTA website?
Mm-hmm.
No,
I don't know what your
to
document you're looking
construction
at.
To the fiscal year 2017.
KIPTA does a plan, they do planning for 5 years for all projects for southern Indiana for those 5 communities that I laid out. So they look at funding, how much funding do we have every year on each project for 5 years into the future. Not all of those projects move forward. Sometimes there are studies, sometimes they're a design, and you get the design done and the community will shelve them. That's actually been an issue for NDOT and the feds in the past year, to the point that they said, you're not carrying projects money over anymore and just keep basically hoarding that money for future projects.
Yeah, she told us that.
Yeah,
And I think that's what maybe she told them, is that if that happens before this money's allocated, we could get more.
We could apply for that.
We could get more
Or
money for
get that.
Oh, absolutely. We've gotten, since 2013, we've gotten about a little over $1 million extra funding for this project. Yeah, we've gotten, and some of that is because some other projects have not gone through, so we've pulled those dollars out either for right-of-way or for construction. Yeah, we can still move forward that. I think the clarification that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of is that that funding doesn't affect, I think, the request that's before you tonight. This is in order for us to say the city is moving forward.
To follow up on what Ed said, is there anything wrong with just having that as a workshop where we all can be there.
Yes.
Where the.
That's what I recommend.
Where the community can be there.
Mhm.
And anybody, I know the folks that are very interested in the 10th Street businesses,
Mhm.
they can be there and hear it firsthand, and why don't we try to pull that together? Because this is a
Absolutely.
huge project, and we're all wanting it to go forward, but it seems like there's different information. And so let's try to do that.
Well, I haven't talked to utilities, but like I said, I have talked with NDOT, and I asked all these questions, so.
I think Lisa has all the information in any utility. I mean, it's all right there.
Well, if I'm a utility company and I see, yes, we've got $6 million set aside for Jeffersonville, but Jeffersonville's got to come up with $14 million, and they haven't said that they're going to do that yet. Why am I going to spend my time and resources relocating something?
I
I
think we have
disagree
said
with
that,
that.
or we wouldn't have spent all
Yeah.
the money to buy the properties.
Yeah.
Well, we bought a bunch
So-
of property downtown for something too, and 4
Well,
years
that
later,
would have
we're-
gone through, but it's a different administration, so.
I understand, so.
A little bit different. That's not
Yeah,
apples and
that's,
apples.
yes, that's not.
But anyway.
I make a motion to table just until we can get something set up with KIPTA, and that way everyone has a meeting of the minds.
Okay.
And hopefully that will get done before our next council meeting.
Maybe we should include the utility companies.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And NDOT.
Right.
That'd be great.
Maybe whatever conversation we have, maybe we
Okay.
Or nobody will show.
I have no you want to contact everyone then? Of course,
You would do it before, directly before, you mean, the next council
Just try
meeting?
to set- yeah.
No, we can't
it can
do
be
the
during
next
day,
one.
Just try to set up something, because I doubt if very many of them might want
6
to come
o'clock
in.
or 6:30 for
In
council
the
meeting.
evening.
I don't know if they want to come down.
next
Was that something as a president, or you can kind of coordinate the
Yes, I
meeting
will.
and the
I'll
time?
be glad
Because that
to.
might be a week, might be 3 weeks, just
Because
kind
I
of put something
told,
together
I
and then we'll.
told, yeah, because I told Miss Heaton I would call her in the morning, and she would say if I needed anything additional, whatever they needed to do, just to call and let her know, so I'll.
You can get a hold of utilities and work with Lisa as the president and try to coordinate, whatever.
I'll second that motion to table. I don't think anyone did, so.
Numbers to them if we're going to table them?
Yeah, go ahead and
Yeah.
assign numbers to it.
That's what I thought.
I think it's kind of procedural point when you're doing a resolution, go ahead and assign them.
So it'll be 9. You're going to do, so you want to do both resolutions?
Yes.
Falls Landings, 9, at Inner City Road is 10.
You want them individually.
So does the,
You're gonna put this off how long? Next 2 weeks? I mean.
Till they-
don't
we have a
need-
meeting?
To when?
fine.
So she can put together something with everybody.
Because how soon does those utility companies need to know, Andy?
Well, I'll have to coordinate something with them. I think I got lost in some of the conversation there. Are you wanting something during the day, something?
well, we'll have to see what they're
Whenever
available. Will
everyone
they,
can meet, some people might not be willing to drive down here for a council
Okay.
meeting.
And do you want you want an open meeting with all the council, or are you wanting a?
we're going to do a workshop with full council,
Full
open to the
council?
public.
Okay.
We want NDOT here, and we want KIPTA. If the utility companies can make it too, that'd be great, because they're hearing the same information we're hearing.
Okay.
And the other thing, we're going to have to coordinate it with when the court is not here.
Okay.
Because they use the room during the afternoon sometimes. So
That's easy enough.
Thursdays are usually the best day
We don't
for
have
us.
anything on Thursday.
Thursdays are good.
Thursdays is clear.
Easy
And
enough.
Andy, I don't think anybody's questioning what you want, because you want the best, you want to get the utilities going, but I think what the council wants is make sure we don't lose the funding, and-
Understand.
And we want to
Understand.
get as much funding as we can, because if we pull $10 million out of TIF, it cripples a lot of the other projects that we would have the ability to work with. So all we're trying to do is get as much, we don't want to slow the project down, we don't want to stop the
Understood.
project. And we've said that.
And that's all I'm trying to do is keep it moving along. So I think
And that's what
we've all got the same goal. So not a problem.
Just call a question.
Okay, I got a motion and a second
Thank you.
to table 2015 R9 and 2015 R10. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Who opposed?
Matt?
I think we should, yeah.
Okay. City Council Attorney Report.
Nothing for tonight.
Department head report, any department heads? Public comment, is there any public comment?
No, ma'am.
Okay, and then leads us to council comments, which Councilperson Smith.
I don't have anything, thank you.
Councilperson Ed Zee.
I have something. I placed a spreadsheet like this on everybody, in front of everybody, and this is a comparison of uniformed officers per 1,000 population. I took a little time, did a little research as we're looking at number of officers per 1,000 to see what some other communities have as far as officers per 1,000. And Jeffersonville's at 1.66 officers per 1,000. Columbus, Indiana's at 1.77. New Albany's 1.84. Kokomo's 1.86. But there's a number of communities that are substantially less than that, like Greenwood, 1.12. Westfield, Indiana, 1.37, and Carmel, 1.39. And I'm not saying there's a right number or a wrong number, but I just want to let you know there's a large variation, and we're not the lowest, and by any means we're not the highest on a ratio basis. But just so for some information, if we wanted to be in the same ratio as Columbus, Indiana, we would need 5 more officers. And if we wanted to be in the same ratio as New Albany, we need 6 more officers. So.
And
Just want to share some information.
And I need a copy of that since you brought it up.
You can have my copy.
Okay.
Here, put it here, I'll get it. If it's okay.
Nope, yep, that's
Councilman
all.
Wadsworth.
No comments.
Councilperson Sellers.
No.
Councilperson Webb.
No comment.
Councilperson Julius.
Just one thing, I really think we've discussed this before about tax abatements when companies come in. Do we have a minimum threshold? Because it seems like when companies come in, we're giving carte blanche on tax abatements, it seems like. So, for instance, on the surface of this abatement, when you look at a $3.5 million increase in their property to make them, say, more competitive, but they're only hiring 4 more people, on the surface of that, you're not going to get that return. There's just no way to give that return on your investment. So what I suggest is we get with 1SI and have them maybe look at other cities and see if there's a proration out there or if they can come up with any solutions. And I'd be more than happy to contact them and try and take the lead on that. But I think it's pretty important. And I don't want to get down the road in 10 years and not have any income coming in from all of these new businesses.
Yeah, okay. And I agree with you on that. I think when a business is coming for redevelopment, because I don't think they technically, state law does not say they have to go
They
before
don't.
redevelopment, they're supposed to come before the council. That's what's mandated. So really, they need to meet with a couple of people from the council so we can tell them that before it comes to a public meeting.
Right. Well, and most of them are going through 1SI.
Well,
So if-
1SI needs to be bringing them to the,
I understand, and that's why I say if we get them to work in partnership with us, I think that might be the way to go about it, so.
I agree with you, Dennis, but, I mean, you look at, that company's been with us since 1993,
I'm not arguing with that company, and I think they need to be competitive. That's not what I'm saying, Steve. I'm just
They're too
saying,
easy to move out,
Huh?
It might be too easy for them to move out some days,
don't disagree. But on the other hand, if a company comes in and they're gonna do $3 million worth of expansion and want a 10-year abatement, and they're gonna hire 4 employees,
Well, but you gotta look at what he's hired, he's got 132 now, too, though.
I understand. But I think that you have to come up with some thresholds.
Yes.
We've
So,
had
but-
guidelines, but they've been kind of weak, and I think, especially with the River Ridge and the bridge, I think that we need to look at our formulas and see what has changed throughout the state, and see if we're competitive, we're not competitive. We might be the best out there, we might be the worst.
Well, and I think 1SI would be
They know.
the platform to use to say, you guys are in line, or you might look at this, or whatever. So, just food for thought.
Also, ACT.
That could be good too, yeah. That's all I have.
Okay, Councilperson Owen?
I have a couple of things. First, last week we had some flash flooding. I wanted to commend the Jeff Fire Department, the Jeff Police Department. I listened to the fire traffic over the radio traffic, and I know that they had their hands full there for quite a bit. And you had trucks running all parts of the city, everywhere. We had our guys dispatching because Central was so bogged down with calls one after another. And while I didn't listen to the police traffic, I know there were a couple of calls the fire were able to disregard because police officers got there first and got control of the scene and made sure everybody was safe. So I really wanted to commend both agencies on stepping up when it was necessary, because it just came out of nowhere and people got caught off guard, I think. And then kind of on the same line, I wanted to thank the Assistant Chief. It seems like since the administration change, there's been a lot more requests for training, and I think that that's very commendable. You know, you're only as good as your training, no matter what you're doing. And I, for one, appreciate you coming and putting your guys out there to go through these different courses. And a number of these courses have been local and low cost. So wanted to thank the Assistant Chief for that. And then also, I don't know if everybody's heard or not, but we are getting a new coffee shop downtown.
Where?
Right next door to the Red Yeti on Spring Street.
Oh, good location.
Will be Two Tired Bike and Bean. It's going to be a bike repair shop / coffee shop. And this is all coming about from the folks that brought us the Red Yeti. So if they're half as successful as the Red Yeti has been, this is going to be a really cool place to be. And it fills some needs that we have downtown for a coffee shop and a bike shop, and it's going to be pretty cool. They're hoping to be open in a couple months, so later this fall, look for them in the 200 block. And that's all I had.
Councilperson Samuel.
This Wednesday night at 6:30 down at Red Yeti, there is the dedication for the Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. They did 300 Spring. They're having a dedication to the monumental memories, the big pictures we put downtown. This Wednesday at 6:30, and there's just going to be a few small comments first, but it's kind of the kickoff or the showing of the monumental memory pictures. There's also going to be DVDs available for all the pictures that were submitted, all the old pictures. And they're going to show some of those, I think, and hopefully there'll be a good crowd down there. And I want to invite everybody to attend that. And then last thing I mention is a welcome back our city attorney, Les Merkley, from his honeymoon. We don't expect any report, but but you seem
There's
like
a smile on his face.
like a
That's
happy
good.
guy. So welcome back. That's all I have.
Good. Well, I think Andy already left, but Vice President Zastani and myself, we met with Andy was Honeywell, correct? And they're doing kind of like an energy efficiency, kind of like a pre-study of the city, and they actually wanted to do a workshop. I wanted to ask Andy, but they requested to do the workshop at 5:30 before our July 20th meeting, so you check your schedules and see if that's okay. I'll confirm that with Andy, but I will bump that if that has to be a workshop for this whole NDOT KIPTA.
Security stuff, Honeywell.
That's not what they're talking to us
Yeah,
about.
no, they're talking about energy efficiency, especially like take this building for instance, the old boiler. I mean, there was a lot of. I think our irrigation's losing money with water. I mean, it's just energy efficiency with the city.
They
Is that correct, Les?
did a major audit
through
of
Board of
all
Public
the energy
Works.
usage in the city, from the street lights, stoplights, to buildings, and they have some ideas on how to save money. And they want to pitch the idea of doing a performance contract, where that based on how much savings we get, they get a percentage of those savings.
Oh. So we go ahead and advertise for that, Scott, for 5
p.m.?
No, 5:30 on the 20th before our council meeting. But like I said, that agenda may change if we get a hold of NDOT, and that seems to be a good time for everybody involved. Also, I sent out an email. Y'all got the request where Red Cross asked for support of a table. The table is $750. I think the support there. I didn't hear from everybody to. But also, Red Cross, as soon as we can, I need a list of names. I think it's a table of 8 of who's going to go. I don't know why they need a list of names, but they do. They need them ASAP. So check your calendars and see if you can go, and message me, text me, or whatever, so I can get that information onto them.
What's the date?
I don't have that in front of me.
It was in August when it is
Yeah,
later.
it's in. I sent the. I'll reaffirm the date.
Are they going to send us an invoice?
Yes, I told them to send it to you.
I haven't gotten forgotten anything.
Okay, I'll contact them tomorrow
Won't
and,
you send an email out in the morning reminding everybody?
yeah, I'll send an email out on everything. I sent the pamphlet, or all that, so. And once again, I too wanted to commend the police and fire because I was actively out in my district, and the fire department did a water rescue right over there in Liberty. It was very well executed. We had a lot of, when you've got water that comes up that fast, and I know the home that you all were at, they had a little baby, and it gets a little scary. And then unfortunately too, I had quite a few homes in my district that flooded. They did not have any kind of insurance to cover them, so we got a lot of people that are hurting right now just to that little amount of rain that came down. And when you got your home's surrounded by water and it's never done that before, and you got to have the fire department come and get you out of your homes, it's kind of scary. So I don't know if anybody's gotten any calls or anything on that. I just was out through my district, and it was pretty much citywide, the street flooding and all of that. And also, I think the chief is out of town, correct? Okay.
Be back on Monday.
Okay. You have applications. Where can people pick that up set for the next police academy class? I think it's going to be the end of July. Where can the public pick those applications up? At the police department at that window?
Yeah, we're gonna post something out, put a press release out for that.
Okay.
Probably at the lobby out front. We'll have those available.
Okay, good. And that's all I have. So, if there's nothing else, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.